Welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know that in the famous 2003 Darlington Spring Race, which had Ricky Craven win his second Cup Series victory by holding off a Blaney and a Busch? Last Sunday's Atlanta finish had Daniel Suarez win his second Cup Series race, holding off a Blaney and a Busch. So, anyways,
Crazy.
guys, welcome to the Nasboys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike FobFam 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What it do, Nasboys crew? And we're here talking about Atlanta. It was a great weekend, and yeah, I'm sure there's plenty to get into about this. I was there, so I could give y'all a little bit of my vantage point while Mike gives his vantage point. So, what should we even start with? To be honest, the Cup race. I mean, that's what everyone's
Last
talking about.
last
Insanity.
few episodes we've gone with the Cup Series, so I think we should start with the Cup race.
Yeah, I mean, it was packed, a lot of energy. Yeah, it was insane. I will say, it was my woman's first ever NASCAR race, and she enjoyed it. And I'm sure the viewers at home too. I mean, it was um, what is it? 4.6 million people watched it live.
Something
Something like
like
that.
that. Like
Yeah,
4.46, I think.
yeah, on TV, and then the track, it was just packed. A lot of great stuff outside the track too for fans. Better than what I've seen at Talladega and Charlotte. In regard to fan experience. Um, Man, that was probably one of the greatest Atlanta races I've ever seen. Not above the 1992 Atlanta race, but I mean, would you agree? I mean, there were so many lead changes, 48 if I'm correct, and then it was just insanity. I mean, there's a couple points where we were jumping up and down in the stands. My friend Bubba was there. Me and him were just we were so shocked about a couple of those moves that Cindric pulled off and Blaney pulled off. What did you think about just the overall racing?
I thought the racing was excellent, and I've been saying this about the new Atlanta. I think, as dumb of an idea as I thought it was originally, I think they nailed it out of the park. I really like that it has that super speedway mile and a half hybrid that they were truly looking for. We saw so many great moments with drivers working together, and we saw a lot of great four wide passes. I think I saw Kyle Busch make a three wide pass at one point to
Yeah,
try to get second. Austin Cindric with a four wide pass. That was absolutely crazy. If you haven't seen that, here it is. Um,
Let's try four wide. Four wide. Yes. Lead getting into one. Look out. Cindric clear. Woohoo! Still four wide. Kyle Busch on the bottom coming with him.
What a move.
What a move by Kyle Busch.
Still four wide.
I just never thought I could see Austin Cindric pull a move off like that. That was insanity. The finish, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. There were some incidents in the race, like there was a lap 2 wreck. I think Tyler Reddick was in it. Austin
yeah.
Dillon was in it.
You get trapped on the bottom like you
Trouble. One car slides to the infield. Austin Dillon, and they pile up behind him.
That's 2 weeks in a row early out for Austin Dillon. I don't know how much damage he has, but there's a bunch of them, folks. You got Gregson in this, Bell. There's a right rear. I think Austin may get away with just that tire damage.
Just let us know what we got to work on.
Dude,
Who else?
none of us saw that coming. None of us. Like we
Right.
were like, oh, this is about to. We knew it was getting a little antsy up front, and then all of a sudden we saw a stack up. We sat near the finish line, and I looked to the left. Next thing I know, I look to the right, and I just see the 3 car like sideways in the middle pack. I'm like, oh boy, they had a 14 car wreck there on lap 2. That was definitely unexpected, for sure.
Which was good for Joey Logano because at the beginning of the race or before the race, he had to make a pass-through penalty because NASCAR did not like the glove that he was wearing, which, as a Logano fan, I got to give my take on this. You can judge me all you want. I don't care. I have the right to speak. First of all, I never realized that NASCAR had such strict rules about the gloves. The glove that he was wearing, it had like a little grip, which okay, I could understand, but the way that they made it sound at first, it's like you just don't expect NASCAR to really get on drivers, and I didn't realize that they had such rules about the gloves. Like I figured they might have some sort of rule about the glove, but not like
Yeah.
that strict that he has to do a pass-through penalty, and he ended up getting fined $10,000, which is better than I was expecting. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of a dumb rule unless they think it gives him more grip during qualifying. Like they should have penalized him during the day of qualifying since it was like a day or two before the race, and then just give up the pole. Don't make him pass through at the race. Just make him start at the rear.
Hmm.
Or I'm sorry, not pole second. They should have just made him start at the rear instead of a pass through. I felt like that would have been enough plus the $10,000 fine, but he got lucky with that big wreck.
Yeah. I mean, Logano had to work his way up, and he did. We saw him work his way into the top 10. Stage one had a couple incidents. We saw Chris Buescher spin out. We saw Denny Hamlin cut across Kyle Busch's nose. A lot of lead changes early on. We saw Todd Gilliland lead a lot of laps in this race. I was very impressed by Kaz Grala at some points, working his way into the top 10. Truex Jr. came back from a lot too. So did Ross Chastain. He came back from a lap down, and Kyle Busch, I believe, did as well. Chase Elliott struggled. The hometown favorite. He had a rough day out there. He got into like 3 incidents, but if I'm correct, I saw a stat that said only 5 cars were not involved in any sort of incident. At first, I thought I will say one thing real quick. Chris Buescher was running so well, and there's a Chris Buescher fan sitting beside, like not far from us, and he was going insane. And whenever Logano came up the track, and his car was, he said the car kept like going up the hill and he couldn't control it. Logano came up and wrecked Buescher. If you haven't seen that, here it is. Denny Hamlin was involved as well.
He'll get a penalty.
He certainly got rimmed.
Oh,
Reckon
no,
Logano.
Logano. Buescher, Hamlin pile up on the last lap of stage 2.
Yeah, and that was just a late block from what I saw right there.
Austin Cindric will win the stage. In review, Cindric has won the stage from Kyle Larson. There you see them out in front as Buescher got into the wall, and then Logano swept up and boom.
The Buescher fan looked like he was about to cry. He was like, no, and he ripped off his shirt. He was hugging people. He was not a very happy camper after that one. But I will say there was a couple Truex fans sitting behind us that were a little aggravating. In that video I sent you, Mike, with that girl screaming, that was one of those Truex fans that was going insane. But I will say the fans were pretty chill. There was a couple of them that were going very crazy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Enthusiasm. It's just part of cheering on your driver, and I'd rather have that than people not cheering. Overall, 10 out of 10 race. The finish, 10 out of 10, straight from the Cars movie.
Blaney doesn't pull up to get the middle lane blocked, and Kyle Busch puts it right on the outside of Blaney, woes them all down. Bubba Wallace gets tight, so really at this point it's a race between these 3 guys coming to the start-finish line, and it's just a drag race and nobody's going anywhere, and it comes down to a dead heat between the 3 of them at the start-finish line. What? That's unbelievable.
We'll believe it. That was awesome. And I love what you said there. As soon as Wallace slid up, it eliminated all the help from behind. At that moment, you knew it was a 3-car drag race to the finish. And Daniel Suarez, how about you, amigo? Huge win for him. That's going to be very popular.
We didn't know who won. We were like, oh, who was it? Who was it? And then
Right.
the Jumbotron showed the nose camera. Mike, what would you rate that finish? Like in the greatest finishes in NASCAR history, where would you put that?
At least in the top 2. I'm bouncing between 1 and 2, but it's definitely a top 2 finish. There's no other way to say it. 3 wide at Atlanta like that, just like the Cars finish, like you were mentioning, that just absolutely insane. I didn't even know who won either. I thought Ryan Blaney had it, and I saw on the ticker Suarez had it, and I'm like, no way, Ryan Blaney had it, because it looked like Blaney's car had made it to the line before Suarez. Because if you watch the slow-mo video, I guess that's because like Suarez's car was so close to the wall and Blaney was near the apron. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I thought Blaney had won that, but Suarez winning it, that's pretty cool. I was reading he's in a contract year, but it's like it's a contract year, but it's not a contract year. It was like a weird quote by Justin Marks. I was very confused by that. I have to look for it again. But
Well,
yeah.
well, I will say one driver that impressed me was Harrison Burton, but Bubba Wallace was another driver who came from really far back, pause, and was working his way back up from a lap down. He ended up finishing fifth. He's got Stenhouse Jr. Started 27th and ended up finishing sixth. Michael McDowell, I was really happy to see him get his first pole too, and he was strong early in the race. Kind of fell back a little bit and then got top 10. Any more thoughts other than the cool victory celebration?
I mean, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishing sixth. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Michael McDowell as well, like you mentioned, he won the pole. Did pretty decent. He won the first stage. Todd Gilliland, I think, was really the driver that impressed me over the past couple of
Yeah.
races. He's up there leading laps. He's up there racing really well with the best of them. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd Gilliland ends up getting a top 5 in the next super speedway race that they run.
Yeah, that's for sure. Todd, he led 58 of the 260 laps.
Which is the
Um,
most.
yeah, and honestly, that was one of the longest Atlanta races. I mean, the 500 mile one they had in 2022 was really long too because of all the cautions. But yeah, we were like, oh, this may end at like 6. Well, it didn't
Yeah,
end until almost 8 o'clock. It was fully dark by the time it ended, and getting out of there was kind of a mess.
right.
It was like you ever seen that video of like the bunch of chickens run out of the barn and it looks like there's a
Mhm.
gazillion of them?
I
That's what
think
it
I
looked
have.
like leaving the track. And
Mm,
everybody was just all yelling still and cheering. There were some people coming up to people, talking to people like, that was insane. I haven't seen something like that before. That's the best Atlanta race I've ever seen.
right,
Yeah, there's guys like this guy talking to us too. Um, it was just great. I mean, that was probably the greatest NASCAR race I've seen in person. I mean, I've seen probably the second best one I've ever seen was either the 2011 Coke 600 or the 2022 one, but that one was up there. And yeah, it's just insanity. Fast speeds. My girlfriend was shocked by how fast the cars were. It was her first ever
right.
NASCAR race, right? And um, she loved it.
Now,
Another
I have
thing
a
I want to
question.
add. Go ahead.
I have a personal question. Has your girlfriend watched NASCAR before she met you, or did you just kind of get her into it?
Well, she actually asked me about racing before I even brought anything about it up to her.
Hmm,
She was curious about it, and we started talking about it.
interesting.
I never pushed it really on her, but I have shown her like clips of the racing, and I feel like that was a great race for her to get to see what NASCAR is like in person.
Yeah,
Um, and then of course we went to the Georgia Aquarium on Monday, as y'all probably saw on my Instagram. But I wanted to add Chase Briscoe was great the entire race too, and then he got wiped out. So that was kind of a pain. There was a guy behind us that was like a teenager that seemed like he was drunk all the time. He was cheering for Briscoe and Priest, and he was saying all sorts of bad language whenever Briscoe wrecked. But great experience. Atlanta has become one of the best tracks in NASCAR over the last
right.
2 years. Um, and it's just been a great facility ever since the 60s. I feel like it's been one of those tracks that sometimes is underappreciated by some
I agree.
fans, but also has put on some of the greatest races in NASCAR history.
Right. I definitely agree with you, Christian. I think that Atlanta is getting really underappreciated, and I saw a lot of people saying they wanted the track torn down and gone back to the mile and a half because of the Xfinity and truck race, which we'll get into later. But the Cup Series absolutely needs to keep racing on this Atlanta configuration. I love it. Definitely the best Atlanta race I've seen. 10 out of 10.
What about
Um,
1992?
well, that I've seen it being alive is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, okay, there you go. Now,
But
what do
yes,
people have to say?
92 is definitely the greatest. Taking a look at what you guys had to say, 90% said great, 10% said good. Nobody said the other options. That's the way it should be. Henry24257 says, good finish. Burr, as a Brad fan, existence is pain. Henry, first of all, it's butt with a T. I learned to spell. And yeah, I can
Maybe he did that on
understand your pain.
purpose.
I can
Yeah,
understand your
Henry probably did
pain
that
because yeah, he spun out. Jay Whitaker
Well, he got
15W
in.
said Jay Whitaker 15W says great finish, but a few too many wrecks. Yeah, but that's just the way Atlanta is.
I mean, there's
Silverado,
10 cautions.
there was how many? 10?
10, yeah. I mean, that's what I counted. But
Gotcha.
there was two really long delays and one red flag, and that's what really extended it.
Mm-hmm. Silverado Joe says the comers and goers, easy mistakes, amazing racing, and an amazing finish. Yes, I agree. Driver of the day, Todd Gilliland. I think I would have to agree with Todd. Even though he finished in 26th, leading the most laps, being up front the whole race, he started second after the Logano incident. I think I'd have to agree with Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. And if not for Todd, then Suarez he was involved in that first wreck too, and then he came back, made that impressive 3 wide pass on the outside. Kyle Busch wasn't too pleased about it in his interview. If you haven't seen that, here it is. Busch would seem just
At home third. I know this is not the position you want to be in, but what a finish, Kyle. Anything that you could have done any differently there?
Yeah, typically the third, whoever's behind getting into 3 prevails at the start finish line with the side draft and everything. So I think I was second to the 12 right there, and the 99 was the furthest back, and he made the ground back up with the side draft and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't think you could stop. That certainly wouldn't have put us in the right spot either. I don't think. But overall, just real proud of everybody at RCR, ECR, and our Cheddar's Camaro was fast. So it's good to see Daniel get a win. I mean, we were helping each other, being Chevy team partners and working together there. So shows that when you do have friends and you can make alliances, that they do seem to work, and that was a good part of today. But I was hoping to get a win because I know everybody wanted a free number 8 special on Monday from Cheddar's. So damn it, we'll have to do it again and find another one.
Thanks.
very salty. And then he got roasted by his wife on Instagram. That was kind of crazy. I don't know if that was a publicity stunt or what that was. But anyways, before we get into the next topics, let's look at some of the memes of the week. Why not go ahead and jump into the memes? First up, we have Jimmy Logano's fans reacted to the most epic finish ever seen at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Yep, that was definitely us. Then we also had Brad Wazowski, Brad Keselowski in a position to win every week. Yep, that's a very accurate representation. I don't know, Ison Nevo with the seeing Danica Patrick in the Drive for a Survive series.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
I mean, those are pretty solid tremendations. One with cars. I mean, it's kind of hard to choose.
This is it, Darrell. 1 lap to go, and Lightning McQueen has a huge lead.
Oh, he's got it in the bag. Call in the dogs, put out the fire. We're going to crown us a new champion. Checkered flag, here I come. No, you don't.
They're entering turn 3.
I don't believe what I'm watching, Bob. And down the stretch they come, and it's
3 abreast, photo finish.
It's too close to call.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Personally, what my favorite one is, but it'd probably have to be the Brad Keselowski one by Brad Wazowski again.
I think for me, it would be between Tremendation's edit and also the Jimmy Logano meme. And this is 2 meme accounts that hot take I'm not really that big of a fan of, and they actually made some decent content. Tremendation's edits over the last couple weeks. I know I picked that one for the Daytona 500 one. I think he does a good job at like editing the clips. The sound is a little off, but that's okay. I thought that that video was really cleverly made.
Yeah.
And the Jimmy Logano one I felt like was very relatable.
And another nominee, the NASCAR Memes IG one of the dog on the couch.
3 wide, off turn 4. Here they come to the flag. 3 abreast, photo finish.
How about, I think it's Blaney
Right along.
Fans reacted to the end of the finish because that was basically me and Bubba. We were jumping up and down, you know what I mean? It was good old fun. Now let's look real quick at a little bit of a sneak peek at the standings. Kyle Busch is the points leader right now, in overall points. Yep. William Byron second by 1. Austin Cindric is third. And a funny thing, I asked my girlfriend what car was her favorite before the race, and she said it was the 2 car. She thought it was really cool color. Austin Cindric is, he's ran pretty well so far this season. One top 5, one top 10. He's led 45 laps, which I believe is the second or third most laps led by any driver so far this season. Yeah. But he's got a stage win. Yeah.
Austin's always been a little underrated on the super speedways in the Cup Series.
Now, those are just some names. One driver that shot up a lot was Daniel Suarez, up 17 spots to 7th. Bowman went to 9th. Truex Jr. went up 6 to 10, and Corey LaJoie is 12th. Surprise, surprise. All right, so Xfinity Series race. I wasn't there to see it, but Bubba was, and you watched it live. Bubba said it was trash. What did you think about it?
Trash. The race was practically dominated by Jesse Love, which is not at all a bad thing, but it's just like, like I have to mention this every time the Xfinity and trucks have a super speedway race. I don't like their package. I think it's just so crappy. Now, with this one, which kind of confused me a little bit, is one of the more well-known things about the Xfinity and trucks package on super speedways is that they cannot bump draft, but at Atlanta they can. I don't know why. I don't know if that has something to do because Daytona and Talladega are so big and Atlanta's still kind of a mile and a half. But I just was like, why is NASCAR not enforcing the bump rule if it's such a big deal? But then I learned later that you can bump on Atlanta. But that didn't help at all. There were not really that many big incidents. I think there was like 1 or 2 wrecks. But main thing I want to talk about with the Xfinity race is the ending. So many cars ran out of gas. Cole Custer, Ryan Sieg, Jesse Love, biggest name that ran out of gas, which I felt like he should have pit. I know why he gambled, and his teammate Austin Hill took the same gamble, and he ended up getting the win. But I don't know why when you had that long of a green flag run, because I think it started from like mid stage 2 till about the end of the race, till that last yellow. I don't know why you did not pit for gas. Either of those cars. Austin Hill got lucky, but it really sucked for Jesse Love. I think a couple other cars ran out of gas as well, too, which really sucked. But one point that I was making with somebody else in your chat, Christian, is that Jesse Love has already been better than Sheldon Creed has. Jesse Love started on the pole his first 2 races in the Xfinity Series, dominated his second ever start in the Xfinity Series. Granted, it is a super speedway race, and Sheldon does have plenty of time to get a win. With Las Vegas coming up, he should be decent. But I'm on the train right now where Jesse Love could potentially be better than Sheldon Creed ever was in that car in the 2 or 3 seasons he ran it. What do you think of that?
Well, I will say Jesse Love, I worked at Dirt Vision, and I've seen many, many races that Jesse Love has ran. He started in dirt. I didn't know what to think. I was kind of surprised, when it was announced he was going to be in the Xfinity Series. I was kind of surprised, but I knew he's ran at some starts, and I believe in ARCA, and he's always very fast in whatever car he's in. And he led almost the entire Xfinity race, which is crazy considering it's considered a super speedway now. With Atlanta, he led 150 laps, I believe. and that's crazy. I heard a lot of people were not very happy with the Xfinity race because it was single file for a lot of it. It was kind of like a train. Um, and Love had it in the bag, and then they had that late caution. He ran out of gas, and Austin Hill, yet again for the second year in a row, wins the first and second race of the year. And he only led 2 laps in this one. Um, Hill just seems to find himself in a great situation every single time. Great driver. I was just like, man, I wish it was somebody else. Chandler Smith got second, and Shane Van Gisbergen finished third. And I will say some other drivers I was impressed with. Parker Retzlaff, another top 10, started 24th, finished fifth. Jeremy Clemens finished sixth in this one. And another driver, Ryan Truex, ended up finishing ninth. So just some notables. What did the people have to say?
Well, I will say this. How about Anthony Alfredo, 7th, Jeffrey
Yeah,
Earnhardt, 8th? Pretty
yeah,
impressive
they've been
runs.
running. Well, Alfredo ran good at Daytona for a little while.
Right. But the people had to say 14% said great, 0% said good, 43% said meh slash okay, 43% said bad. No thoughts, no driver of the day. I'm definitely giving it to Jesse Love.
Yeah, I mean, that's no
Definitely.
doubt about that one.
And then for the truck race, this one was a little bit more eventful than the Xfinity race, but still kind of crap. What do you think of it?
Well, I should have went with my gut and chose the same pick that you did, but I did it because I wanted to do something different. Kyle Busch, he led 33 to 135 laps. He seemed pretty strong. But one driver that I was really happy to see run well was Tyler Ankrum. He led 46 laps, started second, and he seemed to have a great truck. He just ended up finishing seventh. One driver that I'm a big fan of that started towards the back, worked his way up to the front was Caden Honeycutt, finishing sixth. I believe I picked Taylor Gray to win. I don't remember if I picked Tanner or Taylor, but
You picked
I
who
believe
did
it
you
was
pick?
Taylor, didn't I?
You
No, I
might have
picked
picked
Corey
Taylor.
Heim. I
Yeah,
picked
Corey
Corey
Hahn,
Heim to
that's
win. He
right.
got
I knew
third.
it was somebody in Tricon.
Yeah, I'm sorry for messing that up, people. But Taylor Gray got fourth. He started 31st, and then Corey Heim finished third.
Mhm.
Um, it was okay. I would give it honestly like a 4 out of 10. The Xfinity race was like a 2. Um, there was a couple little incidents, just the regular. I'll be honest with you, I didn't. So what about you? Anything you have to add? There
I,
ain't none for me to add.
I think you pretty much summarized all my points. Kyle Busch won the race. Pretty good job by him. We already knew he was going to do it. I think a couple of incidents I do want to note is that Nick Sanchez nearly turned Grant Enfinger, and also Bailey Curry's roof practically
Oh
flew
yeah,
off.
yeah. I meant to comment on that. So what exactly happened with that? That was kind of
I still
strange.
have no clue really. I think one of the parts of the roof was loose and it just flew off. I'm not entirely sure why.
Huh.
Ty Dillon had a similar issue where the ballast on the windshield kind of caved in, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's definitely one of the oddest things I've seen in NASCAR.
He had a convertible, as Jamie Little wanted to say.
Well, I will say, this may be a very unpopular opinion, but wait for it. The Fox broadcast for the Cup race, I went back and watched it, was way better than I saw the 500. I thought it was better.
Way
I thought the
better than the
broadcast,
500.
yeah, I thought that the Atlanta broadcast that Fox did was great. That honestly, I feel like it was way better. Like they've improved. The
Right.
graphics, the stats, showing who was involved in actions, who wasn't, showing
Mhm.
records of the track, showing, the speedometer on top of the screen. I thought it was great. I don't get why people are complaining about it.
I I don't think I would say it was better than the 500. I would say it's around the same, but I agree
Well,
that Fox has been better than what they showed last season. So I give them credit for at least listening to some fan complaints.
hmm,
But taking a look at the truck race, 20% said great, 20% said good, 40% said mess slash okay, 20% said bad.
okay.
No thoughts. The driver of the day again. I think I'll go with probably Kyle Busch or Tyler Ankrum. One of those two guys.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? My brain
I
did it
said for driver of the day, I think I'm gonna go with either Kyle Busch or Tyler Ankrum. I'm not
down.
entirely sure which one I'd go with. Maybe Tyler.
I was thinking Tyler and then maybe Taylor Gray after that. Gray didn't lead any laps, but he started 31st. So,
Yeah,
it's a big
it's a good
change of
run.
movement. Dude, any other news? Well, there was more penalties that
Yeah,
happened.
like I mentioned, Logano got fined 10,000, but I think a big penalty that I didn't realize was Ryan Preece and Noah Gragson ended up both getting fined 35 points each.
Hmm.
Preece only had 35 points, so he obviously has 0, and Noah Gragson is now last place with -4 points. Really sucks for both of them. I'm gonna figure out the reason why. Oh yeah, it's because roof air deflectors were not in compliance, and it was a team-made part.
Hmm.
Ouch. Ouch for them. Kind of reminds me of RFK's situation the first year of the Gen 7.
Hmm.
So we'll
I
see. We'll
don't.
see if those guys can rebound. I mean, Noah's been running okay. He got caught up in a couple of wrecks, but we'll see what he can do in Las Vegas.
Noah. All right. So next up we have this upcoming weekend. Um, is it all three again?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it right now. That's surprising. Okay, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm looking at it right now. So who do you have winning the truck race?
KFB, Kyle Busch at his home
Again?
track. Yes, I'll go with him again because why not?
You know what? I'm gonna do that too, just to be on the safe side.
For the Xfinity race, I have kind of a bolder pick. I'm gonna go with Riley Herbst. I think Riley Herbst
I
runs really well on mile and a halfs.
yeah, you're not wrong. Um, I'm thinking John Hunter Nemechek.
If
As
he's in
much
it.
as I would want to pick Riley Herbst, and I was thinking maybe a little bit of a sleeper pick, Brandon Jones, but I'm gonna go with John Hunter.
I don't know if John Hunter's even in the race.
Well, isn't he not? I
He
He
doesn't
drives
run
the 20.
Xfinity full time anymore.
Oh, he doesn't? Yeah, I need to look at the entry list before we'll edit that on the Instagram story when that's if he's not racing.
And then for the Cup race, I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson.
Hmm, not bad. I mean, Kyle Larson's won here before. Um, hmm. This guy, I'm going to pick to win the Cup race. He's ran really strong here, and this team, the team he drives for, runs really well here as well.
Okay.
Team Penske. It's a Team Penske driver. He's just had a great start to the year when he's led laps. I'm going with Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney is a pretty solid pick at Las Vegas. I thought you were gonna go with Joey for a second, but you didn't end up saying it's my favorite driver.
I picked Joey to
Uh,
win the last two Las Vegas races, and I'm not doing it this time. But watch
yeah,
him win.
that's fair. I think that the Xfinity and truck race will just be typical racing, and then the Cup race, I think it'll be decent. I don't think it's gonna be a great race, but I don't think it's gonna be a bad race either. I just think it's gonna be somewhere in the middle. But
All right.
with that, that will close out this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
See ya.
Calling